Nowadays, Photoshop allows you to select across multiple layers when you're working with either of the arrow tools. And while some of you are going to find this to be helpful, a lot of you are going to find it to be a nuisance because it means that you're arbitrarily selecting across multiple layers when you really just want to select one item, which is why you now have an isolation mode. And let me show you how all this stuff works. Let's say, for example, that I'm feeling like there's not enough room between the star and this dot. So I want to lift the border path a little bit. I'll go ahead and zoom back out. Now, in the old days, what I would have done is I'd get my arrow tool. And here's how they work, by the way. The black arrow tool allows you to select entire path outlines at a time, while the white arrow tool allows you to select independent anchor points and segments. And I call them the arrow tools because of the keyboard shortcut. A is for arrow, and also I just think it's easier. So I'm going to select the white arrow tool, which Photoshop calls the direct selection tool. And now I'm going to marquee across the bottom of that border like so. Now, in previous versions of Photoshop, that would have just selected the anchor points on the active layer, which was the border layer. Now I'm selecting across all the layers, including the star and the scissors layers. So what do I do if I just want to select the border and nothing else? Well, there's a couple of ways to work. For starters, you click on the border layer to make it active, and then you can go up to the Select menu and choose the Isolate Layers command. You can also get to that command when either the Move tool or one of the arrow tools is selected by right-clicking inside the image window, and then you'll see Isolate Layers. Or if you can directly access the path outline, which I can in my case, it's not always possible, then you can just double-click on the path outline with either of the arrow tools, and that will isolate that one layer, as you can see here inside the Layers panel. So if I now marquee across those points, I no longer select the scissors and the star because they're protected. And you'll know that you're in the isolation mode because you'll see up here in the top left corner of the Layers panel that the word Selected is highlighted. All right, now I'll press the Escape key so that pop-up menu is no longer active here on the PC. And I'll press the up arrow key a few times, maybe 3 times in a row, just to raise that dot away from the star. That ends up creating new problems, though. In the upper left-hand corner here, you can now see that we've got 2 dots very close to each other. To take care of that issue, go ahead and zoom back out, and I'll marquee these points like so, and then I'll zoom back in so I can see what I'm doing. And I'll press the right arrow key a few times in order to nudge that dot into a better location. That is going to present still more problems that I have to fix where the layer mask is concerned. Fortunately, I still have access to the layer mask here in the isolation mode. So I'll click on Layer Mask Thumbnail in the Layers panel, and then I'll switch to my rectangular marquee tool, and I'll marquee this little region right there. White is my background color, so I'll press Control Backspace or Command Delete on the Mac in order to fill that selected area with white. I believe I'm going to have another problem over here on the right-hand side, possibly. Actually, I want to reveal another dot there. So I'll go ahead and marquee that area and press Control Backspace or Command Delete on the Mac in order to fill it with white. Actually, I'll go ahead and fill that guy like so. And then down here, we've got yet another issue. So I'll go ahead and marquee that area. And to hide it, I'll press Alt Backspace or Option Delete on the Mac. And then we need to reveal this guy as well. So I'll press Control Backspace or Command Delete on the Mac in order to fill it with white in the layer mask. Now, at this point, having done all the work that I need to do, I want to leave the isolation mode. A couple of ways to do that. One is to go back to the Select menu and turn off Isolate Layers. Or you can switch back to either of the arrow tools. I'll grab the black arrow tool this time. And you can double-click off the path outline. And notice that reveals all the layers and gives me access to everything inside the image once again. And that, friends, is how you select across multiple layers as well as isolate one or more layers here inside Photoshop.